Hello there, good evening. In association with Dairy Gold Co-op Superstores, welcome once again to the Examiner's coverage of the 2020 Cork Senior Hurling Championship. And ahead of us tonight, it's a knockout 60 minutes in this divisional final between the 3-in-a-row county champions Imokilly and the back-to-back Fitzgibbon Cup winners UCC. At stake, a place in this year's quarter-final. Des Curran, delighted to have two-time county champion with Imokilly, Mark Landers, alongside me. We'll hear from Mark in just a moment. But a little bit earlier on, I got the views of both camps from Tom Kenny of UCC, but starting with Imokilly's Kieran Cronin. Kieran, straight into the pressure of knockout championship hurling. How have the last few days been, sweating on players coming back from club games, and what's the current state of health ahead of tonight?
Yeah, I suppose, look, the way it's gone this year, everyone's playing everything every day, and you really don't know who you have until the day. So look, we have a slight few injury concerns there tonight, and unfortunately Shane is out tonight with a slight hamstring at the moment. So look, you can't take a risk with fellas because club games next week again. So look, clean bill of health other than that, and we're ready to go, and it won't be an excuse for us.
Running through your panel, you've got Niall O'Leary back from UCC this year, Kieran O'Brien and Barry Lawton from serious injuries. You've lost the Father O'Neill's contingent though, including the high-scoring Decky Dalton, Paddy O'Sullivan from Cloyne as well. It's been an interesting build-up to this for you.
Yeah, most definitely. Look, we got a lot of messages off them today. I suppose they've been on this journey the last 4 or 5 years or so. They're probably feeling a void in their life at the moment. But yeah, look, Kieran and Barry back from year-long injuries is a massive plus. Obviously they're straight into the fray here tonight, and they played good club action there last week. So look, they're all ready to go, fit and ready.
Yeah, you're the side everyone's shooting at again. You equalled that great Bars team of the early 80s when you won 3 in a row last year. Now the target is 4.
Yeah, most definitely. Look, but as we did the last few years, we just take each game as it comes. If you can create history, create history. But I suppose given this year, the lads are just happy to be here tonight, and we're the same. So it's all up for grabs really.
And just a word on UCC. You'd have seen them or had them watched against Duhallow. They've had a game coming into this.
Yeah, so we got out there to Mourne Abbey there Tuesday night. It was probably the last match we'll probably be able to see outside the Borough this year. But look, we knew they had all the big guns, and they'll have them again tonight. And there's no plans about UCC. Like they are the kingpins of Cork hurling when you look at it. And they've Team Fitzgibbons and previous county championships, so they attract all the great players. Every player they'll have will be of an inter-county standard. So it's a good test for our lads, and one day relish, and it's a straight knockout tonight.
Tom, a good win over Duhallow earlier in the week. How have you come out of that?
Fine, yeah. Look, it was the first game for us. We don't generally do any training as such for the county championship. It was a good win. It was just all about getting over the line really, and focusing on tonight. So happy from that regard. They put in a good performance, clocked up a good score, and ideally we'd like to say we worked on things in training, but look, as I say, we don't have training. The lads have plenty of club work to do, so we just gather our thoughts again there now tonight before the game and drive on from there.
And to explain the position you're in terms of your Fitzgibbon Cup team, there's I think 7 of those are playing senior county with their club in Cork, so you can't call on those.
No, and that'd be generally the case every year. You'd lose 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 to their club commitments, and that's fine. You've a lot of freshers here that would have played fresher during the year, and in junior and intermediate in UCC as well. So we're happy with the numbers we have. We're happy with the players we have. There's other well-known players missing, but that's the case every year. And if they're not here, they're not here, and we make do with the players that have clogged out and are available to us.
And given the year that it's been, this unprecedented situation you find yourselves in, I know you put no pressure on the lads based outside of the county either to travel. That you've tried to stay as Cork based as you could.
As much as we can. No, we have asked fellas from outside the county to come, and they've come down, which is great. But we don't want to be putting people under too much pressure. If they've club games during the day and they're travelling down again, then that's a lot of interaction socially, and we don't want to be pushing that as such. If they can't make it, they can't make it, and that's it.
And just finally a word on the challenge of Imokilly.
Look, they're 2-time champions the last couple of years. I know they've lost some players to senior A and Cork, but they're still a formidable outfit, and look, we'll give it everything tonight, as you do every night you go wear the jersey. You give it everything and hope for the best.
So Mark, our first view of the champions Imokilly now this evening, and they're straight into what is a knockout game. What have you heard in terms of how they're shaping up? What's the word been?
So the big word is the fact that they actually haven't been able to get together at all, Des, because for the last number of years Fergal Condon, who has been replaced by Kieran Cronin in the manager's seat, Fergal has stepped up to the Cork under-20s with Pat Ryan involved there, but the big thing is that they used to always get together to play a practice match every Monday night, and that has been a big disruption for the preparations this year. But in the overall context of things, because there's so many players to pick from, I don't think they will be weak in that much, even though there are a good number of players. Like they've lost the Father O'Neill, so particularly I suppose Declan Dalton, who was the free taker for them last year and was hugely influential for them as well. and then you've the loss of Paddy Sullivan from Clyne as well. He is a real goal poacher has been for Imokilly for the last number of years. So those two players are a significant loss to them, along with Mark O'Keefe as well. But I suppose then on the plus side, you're getting back the likes of Niall O'Leary, who's a really, really exceptional player, and Barry Lawton and Kieran O'Brien are two fellas that had 2 year I won't say career ending, but year-long injuries cruciate, and both of them are back in the team tonight. And I suppose the big news, and we'll cover it in a minute, is the fact that Shamie Hannady's out. So
what about UCC? They do have the advantage, or is it an advantage? You'd imagine it would be, having played Duhallow earlier in the week.
Well, I think it's a help from their point of view, is that they've had a game together. But like a lot of the UCC lads will know each other very well from college, and they've won a number of Fitzgibbons, which is always a great trial of teams, because I suppose the Fitzgibbon is played, and the training happens in November and December, and it isn't the nicest and the prettiest times. But I mean, that's where spirit is built as well amongst UCC. But like the big thing with UCC is, I suppose, while we're going through the coronavirus and the pandemic at the moment, is that the lads are travelling from all over. Like you have Shane Conway from Nixon, you've Paddy O'Loughlin coming from Limerick. I think that's great. That's great for those lads. But I know we're talking to Tom Kenny earlier on that there was no pressure applied to them to be here tonight. They wanted to be here. They want to be here for UCC this evening.
Let's run through that team news then. Let's start with Imokilly. Positives and negatives, that you've spoken about it already. The Ford O'Neill's contingent, including Decky Dalton and Clyne's Paddy O'Sullivan, unavailable this year. On the plus side, you mentioned the return of Niall O'Leary, who played for UCC last year. But the big news, no Colm Spillane, we should mention that as well. It looks like he's maybe throwing his lot in with Castle Lyons for the moment. And the late call off, having played on Friday night, St. Ita's against Killa just a couple of nights ago, it's Seamus Harnedy picked up an injury in that, and he's out.
Yeah, and that just shows. And look, I think an awful lot of the management across all teams at the moment will know that when there's games coming fast and tick, there's going to be a number of injuries. But when your star player gets injured, I suppose that's a bit more concern. Harnedy has captain Imokilly to the last 3 counties, so he's a significant loss. He played in the junior championship against Killa on Friday night. Was 121 to 412, finished a draw. Harnedy scored 15 points himself from centre forward, so he's in great form, but the reality is that he's after nicking his hamstring. He's not available. I think the Colm Spillane one, and along with his brother Anthony, is a bit of a loss definitely for Imokilly, because I think both of them are exceptional players as well, but I think both of them are have had a number of injuries, and we covered the last game with Castle Lyons and Blarney, and Anthony took a blow to his arm that night. So look, I suppose at this moment in time they're injured or unavailable to Imokilly, but they're a significant loss as well, because Colm is flying. But again, he had a year out last year from an injury, so I'd say he's protecting himself more than anything.
What about UCC then? As we mentioned, 7 of their Fitzgibbon Cup starters playing senior grade with their own clubs here in Cork, so they can't be called on. But also no Paddy Cadell or Cillian O'Dwyer, both at club games today down in Tip. They do though have the likes of the Kerry superstar Shane Conway. He'll take some watching tonight, and Mark Coleman, who I understand has finished up his distinguished college career in terms of his degree. So there's a possibility this could be Mark Coleman's last game for the college tonight.
And he's been a fantastic player for the college, and I think anybody who was watching the live streaming of the Fitzgibbon this year saw the sideline cut that he I don't know, it was the UCD they were playing, but it was a magnificent cut, but Mark is all kinds of class, to be fair, and he's been a great servant to UCC. But I suppose a lot of people are maybe looking in tonight, we're looking forward to maybe seeing Paddy Cadell as centre back and Seamus Hanley as centre forward. I suppose the game has been robbed of two of the stars of the day. But look, you have Paddy O'Loughlin there from Kilmallock, who's a very, very good player, both for Limerick and for UCC. And you have a number of other players. What I'm really interested in is seeing James Keating this evening from Kildallery. He was captain of the under-20s last year. They played full-back. He got a bit of a roast, I suppose, against Imokilly Darcy Tipperary in the All-Ireland final last year, but I think he's probably better suited to the half-back line, and he scored 4 points in the middle of the field for UCC against Duhallow the other night. The other interesting thing there is that David Griffin, according to the programme that we're seeing is named the cornerback, he was midfield the other night. Again, I was looking forward to the two of them in the middle of the field to see, giving the go forward for UCC, because on paper you have you had a strong half-back line in Mark Coleman, Paddy O'Loughlin and Paddy Cadell. But look, I suppose in the overall context of things, you would have to say that the county champions tonight, they would be probably pretty even without Hanley tonight. They should have enough to get over UCC this evening. Yeah,
UCC put up a big score against Duhallow, and as we mentioned, Shane Conway, I mean, he's been in the man that Fitzgibbon for them for the last 2 years as well. But there's a big onus on him when you look at that Imokilly backline that has Colm Barry at full back, has Niall O'Leary at centre half back, Kieran O'Brien returning right half back, John Cronin over on the left.
Yeah, I mean, Lucky Conway, if there was a transfer market, he's one of the players that certainly, from a Cork point of view, that you would be trying to pick up. He has been an outstanding talent for UCC. He's a free taker as well. He's a quality player. He possesses great vision as well. He's not the biggest player that I've ever seen playing for UCC, but he has tremendous pace and tremendous balance. He's a really, really exciting player. I suppose, just to mention David Lowney as well for UCC. David Lowney played with his club Clonakilty today in the Junior Hurling Championship against St James's. I think there's great credit due to the West Cork board as well, because I think that game was supposed to be on this evening, which would be a direct clash. So whatever happened there on the fixtures, the likes of St James's and Clonakilty got together, got the game brought forward, and David has come up through the development squads with Imokilly with Cork, both as a hurler and a footballer. He's well known in the football scene playing with Clonakilty, but I suppose on the UCC side, you'd have to, or the Imokilly side, Jack Barry is in goals. It is his first game tonight. Also, Liam O'Shea and Shane O'Regan from Watergrass Hill. It's their first starts tonight in the championship. It's big games for them, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Shane O'Regan.
Going well with Watergrass Hill, and played extremely well last year with the Cork under-20s. He's an abrasive guy, great hand, and he's a kitog as well. And he has a real eye for goal, which is something I really like out of a forward, that his first instinct is to go for goals, which is really what you want in a forward. But he possesses a great hand as well. So there's a lot of things, but the interesting thing is that just 7 of the starting Imokilly team tonight have played for UCC. So the likes of Jack Barry, Darragh O'Brien, probably his first game as well this evening. He's from St Eata's as well. He's been playing with UCC. Niall O'Leary, obviously the aforementioned, Shane Hegarty from Dungourney, Brian Lawton, Seamus Harnedy, we said Darragh Callahan and Dan Mangan, all those lads who've been involved with UCC down through the years, and are now playing with Imokilly. Yeah, fascinating game in prospect, and we'll wait and see which side can settle quickly here. For UCC, as we mentioned, they were out against Duhallow earlier in the week and put up a good score in that game. But this the sternest test of all now in Imokilly side. If you're late joining us, that is shorn of the talents of Seamus Harnedy tonight after he picked up an injury playing for St Eata's against Killa on Friday evening. Well, delighted to have the Dairy Gold backing the Examiners coverage of the Cork County Championships this year in association with Co-op Superstores. We're about to get this divisional final underway at Páirc Uí Rinn. It is the 3-time defending county champions Imokilly in those recognisable red and white stripes against UCC, the back-to-back Fitzgibbon Cup winners. And the referee about to get the ball thrown in here. Remember, this is straight knockout hurling for the champions coming into this game, so the pressure is very much on them. And we are up and running in Páirc Uí Rinn, and straight away it's the first touch of the ball for the centre half back for UCC, Paddy O'Loughlin, and they look to mount the first attack of the game. Sharp turn that from Owen McCarthy of Inniscarra, trying to find room to get his shot away, gets the hand pass out to Éanna Desmond for a Carrigaline side that has been showing up well in the Premier Intermediate Championship. Imokilly prevent that attack from yielding any score, and now look to break out of their own half back line. Ball with Brian Lawton, who plays along with Barry this evening. But the free on its way for UCC, and straight away looking out looks like Shane Conway, who has started in at full forward, is coming out to have a look at this one.
Yeah, and he's definitely moved into full forward from the start of the game. Niall Montgomery from Abbey's side in Waterford has gone centre forward on Niall O'Leary. And interestingly enough, the first ball played into the corner there, into Owen McCarthy, looked very, very sharp. Des out first, controlled it, and again he's marking Darragh O'Brien from St Eata's, who's probably his first debut tonight for Imokilly. So I think rightly adjudged there, Simon Stokes, the referee, adjudged to have, I think, the ball popped up into his hand and caught it for a second time.
And Imokilly will have to be wary. He's a lovely striker of the ball, the Lichtenau star, Shane Conway. And that's his and UCC and the game's first point. And now UCC look to come forward again, this time into the corner, and Conway over his right shoulder. This would be something special if he could land this one, and he has done. What a start for Shane Conway.
Yeah, and an exceptional score, and out first, caught the ball over his right shoulder, and no pressure applied from Colin Barry.
What a start this is from UCC, getting on the ball, and Mark Coleman lifts it forward, plucked out of the sky by Neil Montgomery of Abbeyside, plays his football in Waterford with Ballinacurty. Here's a chance for Aina Desmond, dropping it in short, and UCC sussing out there might be a goal opportunity for them here. Imokilly survive though, and a chance now to move it away through Michael Russell of Ahada. First ball into that Imokilly forward line to be contested by UCC. Pass on the inside, it's too much on it for Barry Lawton. Now a chance to get the head up and pick a pass, and they have done. Worked inside by Brian Verling, and here is Neil Montgomery as UCC look to continue this very positive start, and the Waterford man sends over UCC's third point.
Well, if you wanted to start in any game, Des, against the three-time county champions, they're after getting it. And one thing, this is strange, another ball going over the bar, is that Jack Barry is taking the puck out immediately, and he actually needs to start to settle down because his team is 4 points and no score down. Now he's probably under instructions to get the ball out, Des, as fast as possible, but I'd be inclined to slow it down and kill the game for a couple of minutes anyway.
Well, this is remarkable stuff. Less than 3 minutes played, Imokilly trailing by 4 points to no score. And UCC coming again, and this one from a long, long way out from Keith O'Leary of Castlelyons up against some of his club teammates there this evening. A first wide of the game for UCC. So accurate have they been up to that point that it's 2 points for Shane Conway, 2 points for Neil Montgomery, and Imokilly yet to have a shot on goal.
And they've only had actually one ball into their own forward line, which was into Brian Mulcahy, and unfortunately the pass across the field went astray.
Dropping into the half-forward line of Imokilly in a wrestle for possession here. Liam O'Shea of Lisgould on his first championship start for Imokilly. And this one looks good.
Yeah.
And it's over the bar from Liam O'Shea. Well, they needed someone to settle it down, and it's one of the most inexperienced players on the pitch for Imokilly who's managed to find the score.
Yeah, fantastic score from Liam O'Shea from Lisgould, and a great one for his first start and to settle him down.
Imokilly certainly needed that, a settling score. They were all at sea in the opening minutes as UCC came at them in waves. But here they come, looking to trim the deficit even further. Good ball into that full forward line, and coming out in front to have a look and try and pop this one over the bar. Left and wide though from Shane O'Regan.
Yeah, that was an opportunity. Probably should have taken on a couple of steps himself and settled himself. Hit it over over his shoulder and has gone wide, unfortunately.
Lovely touch initially to keep it in play from Aina Desmond. And now he's battling again with his opposite number to try and wrest possession for the college. Big switch across the pitch from Shane O'Regan, dropping over the head of the man wearing 20 but starting Barry Lawton. And that's a lovely effort, flashes over the bar.
And a great ball, a great long crossfield ball from Shane O'Regan from Watergrass Hill into space into Barry Lawton, and get him to settle down now. Great score from him.
Puck out from UCC captain Dylan Desmond goes awry. And UCC after that positive start now. Imokilly with the last 2 scores.
I suppose 3 times county champions days in a row. They're not going to panic at this stage, but it was a blistering start from UCC, and they UCC have showed exactly what their capabilities are.
It's a super cut from Shane O'Regan, just didn't have the legs to carry over the crossbar of Dylan Desmond, who goes short out to this near side again. Big switch of play across towards Montgomery, who's made a very impressive start. Drills the ball in low into the centre of the park, and all alone here is Keith O'Leary. Drops it in, and again one to contest for Colin Barry. And Jack Barry right there behind him, and they're struggling to get out here in Imokilly. And Barry eventually finds a ball out to Kieran O'Brien, and Imokilly working their way forward. Little hand pass, and now they go again. Bill Cooper drills it in, ball up in front again is contested by Mark Coleman. And a good hook coming in from UCC's James Keating, with the free on the way for Imokilly.
Yeah, and there's a great quality ball out of the defence from Imokilly there, from Jack Barry onto Kieran O'Brien. He knew he was under pressure because there was 2 UCC forwards trying to dispossess him for possession. Out to Kieran O'Brien, who led it off to John Cronin, who popped it to Bill Cooper, who then drove a crossfield ball across to Shane O'Regan, and which has resulted in the free-in for Imokilly.
And William Leahy of Ahada, normally reliable in these situations. He scored 120 in 2 games in the Premier Intermediate Championship already. And the Senior Championship opens his account.
And Will is a very, very dependable free taker, even though Decky Dalton would have been taking all the frees last year, but the years prior to that, Will would have been taking them. Very accomplished free taker. And
Decky Dalton, 355 in the Championship last year out of Imokilly's total of 6 goals, 142 points. Make that an average of 124 they scored across their 6 games last year. Here's Bill Cooper of Youghal. Again, it's the low ball in, tempting David Lowney to try and get out in front of his man. Sharp turn, an excellent block on that one. Coming in from the cornerback, Owen Clifford of Clodove. And now UCC can explore the avenue out towards that far side. Off in chase of it is Owen McCarthy. Race on for the ball now, down in that corner. Imokilly work their way out again. Niall O'Leary off his left hand side, keeps it down that far side, down into the corner towards Willie Leahy. Stepping into space, Paddy O'Loughlin of Kilmallock and Limerick, already into the semi-finals of the Senior Championship there, beating the Piershig along the way. Kilmallock under Tony Considine. UCC looking to get back on the score sheet again. Nice ball inside, sharp turn as well, and he's looked sharp from the very start, hasn't he, Owen McCarthy?
Yeah, overall UCC's hurling is excellent, Des, and Imokilly have got back into the game having struggled in the first 5 or 6 minutes, and is starting to settle down the game but the quality of hurling on both sides, the quality of the first touch is excellent on both teams.
Ball to be contested right in the middle of the field. Now O'Leary came to try and get it, and Montgomery's causing awful lot of problems. 6'3", the big Waterford man. And this one is on its way as well. As you said, they positioned him at centre forward at the start of the game. He's a big guy. He can win his own ball. He can contest opposition ball, and his eye is in as well. Didn't play against Duhallow during the week, so he's a big plus to the team tonight. He's 3 points on the board from centre forward already, on no less a player than Niall O'Leary from Castle Lyons. Oh, it's a lovely take. Chance here for Brian Lawton. Look to get the hand pass away, but UCC are vigilant and can come away with it here. Mark Coleman striding forward. Ball into the corner. Conway his target again, and Conway, what a sharp turn that is, and he's away here. Decision time for Shane Conway. Looked for the hand pass inside towards Owen McCarthy. Chance might still be there, and a nice spin and turn, and popped over the bar by Brian Verling. But Conway, the acceleration, the turn, is causing so many problems there.
As I said earlier, Des, if there was a transfer market, he's the one fella that you'd be going after this evening. He's an exceptional player, an exceptional talent, but UCC have left the hole over in front of the dressing room side, and every ball has been poked into that corner for him. Yeah, good tactics so far from UCC. And now an opportunity maybe as Kieran O'Brien gets the pass away inside. Shane Hegarty of Dungourney keeps it moving, and then it's Barry Lawton out towards that far side, and the red helmeted Barry Lawton is for a long way out, dropping just short, well claimed under his crossbar by Dylan Desmond, and he comes out to his fullback David Lowney, senior footballer with Clonakilty. Big game for him coming up in the final game in their group. They have a win and a loss so far. UCC working it well again, and this one from Mark Coleman, little block on that as he was setting his sights. Here's an opportunity for a goal, and he's taken it brilliantly. Owen McCarthy. Yep. And UCC, every time they come forward, this very strong on paper back division for Imokilly is under serious pressure here. In particular inside in the full back line, that is, and we mentioned earlier on the first ball that went into him that he was out in front of his man, in front of Darragh O'Brien, and an exceptional goal there by Owen McCarthy from Inniscarra. And UCC have really taken the game to the 3 times county champions this evening. And is there an upset on the cards? It's probably a bit early to say that, Des, but I suppose 7 point lead, and playing against a stiff breeze, whatever breeze is here this evening is with Imokilly in the first half. And I suppose big questions are going to be asked of Imokilly now. They're without their talisman Seamus Harnedy, and I suppose the likes of Decky Dalton and Paddy O'Sullivan, Mark O'Keefe, can they recover? Sideline cut, crisply delivered. Brian Kelleher unable to take it with him though, but another opportunity. This one to the left and wide.
There was a touch.
Yeah,
I was actually bringing it back for a free, the referee.
I think Simon Stokes had, when the ball was being controlled, first of all, there was a swipe went in, and I think the referee had awarded a free, but it played the advantage. And I would presume that Shane Conway will convert that advantage. But just as was speaking and just looking at the overall context at the moment, Imokilly have turned it in. UCC have turned it into the game from the word go. And this is typical of UCC. I've seen it down through the years. When they're least expected to win games, and when they're taking on maybe the best teams around, they play with abandonment. And tonight is no different.
A reminder, this is a UCC side. You look back to that Fitzgibbon win against IT Carlow back in February. Shane Hurley of the Bars, Rob Downey of the Glen, Dara Fitzgibbon, Robbie O'Flynn, Shane Kingston, Michael O'Halloran were all part of that Fitzgibbon Cup winning team, but all playing senior grade with their clubs. None of those available to Tom Kenny and the other UCC selectors. But those who come in have been given their chance, and they've risen to this challenge this evening. First wayward ball into that forward line from UCC. Imokilly looked to come away. Ball down into the corner towards William Leahy, but he's lost out. And UCC swarming in possession and getting numbers forward. And Conway, look at that turn again, this time onto these left hand side, sets his sights on the target, and he is just not missing Shane Conway, left or right.
No, and an excellent ball in from young Clifford there from Clodove, playing corner back there, who dispossessed Willie Leahy in the corner. But it's noticeable that the UCC full back line of Owen Clifford, David Lowney and David Griffin are all on top of them at this moment in time.
Here's a chance though for Bill Cooper, striding onto it, well capable of taking his score. He's being hunted down here, Cooper, and that's excellent defence. Tracked him all the way, Mark Coleman.
Yeah, great defensive play there from Mark Coleman. I suppose Bill had broken through the tackle first time, and the ball had fell to the ground. And that was the opportunity maybe gone. But when you have somebody of the class of Mark Coleman chasing you down, you'd want to be gone 4 or 5 strides, because he has the pace to pick you up. Almost
13 minutes played at Park Arena. Imokilly 3 points, UCC a goal and 9 points. Now that one deemed to be thrown by the cornerback David Griffin of Carrigaline, and here's an opportunity to pull one back for William Leahy.
And Imokilly need this score now to settle them down again. There's, they have UCC have upped the pace of it after Imokilly had come from 4 down to 4-3. UCC have driven on, and the goal has given them a great spurt as well. The water break will be coming, and this is obviously bone of contention for a lot of people, whether there should be a water break or not. I think most teams like the water break, and I think Imokilly certainly will be looking forward. If they could blow up the water break immediately, I'd say Imokilly could be looking for it at the moment, because they certainly need to break the UCC dominance and momentum.
Yeah, UCC won't be happy if there's a water break anytime soon. It's been an outstanding showing through 13, almost 14 minutes played now at Parky Rin, as they look to knock out the 4 in a row chasing Imokilly. Long way left in this game though. Nice turn inside from Brian Lawton. Finds Kieran O'Brien, looking to drop it over the head of Owen Clifford, which he's managed to do. And William Leahy gets on it, turns sharply. Well, it's Leahy on it now rather. Gets it on his right hand side and pops this one over. A couple of quick fire points from Willie Leahy.
Yeah, and Brian Mulcahy has switched corners actually over on Owen Clifford and Willie Leahy. The both of them have switched 2 corners, and they've actually it has been a help for both of them.
It's Barry Lawton playing in the 11 role. We'll call it the centre half forward position. It would have been Seamus Harnedy under normal circumstances. If you're late joining us, ruled out through injury. And speaking to Kieran Cronin during the week, I asked him about Colm Spillane. I said, was that a factor? Was it a possibility he might have played him in the forwards had he been free to play? And he said that was under serious consideration, but that's a conversation for another time. Ball in the hands of Brian Lawton, and just as they look to keep that momentum and tack over another one, that one's gone left and wide.
I'd say as if he was available to Imokilly tonight, so there'd be no doubt, but he'd be playing centre forward this evening.
Well, given the way they've been under pressure at the other end, he might have been moved back at this point.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Dylan Desmond over towards this near side, and his target Brian Kelleher, picked up by Kieran O'Brien, pops it inside. Niall O'Leary turns onto his left hand side looking for options, pops it into the centre of the field. Nice turn that from Barry Lawton as he looks to escape his marker. This one from round and about the 65, and it's another one gone left and wide.
2 wides in succession there now for Imokilly just before the water break days, and I think Imokilly will be crying out for the water break at this moment in time. UCC are full value for the lead at the moment, and I suppose most of that lead is down to Shane Conway at the moment. It has 4 points. a young Owen McCarthy in the corner for Niscan as a goal and point, Verling as a point, and Montgomery has the rest of it for UCC. So I mean, it's all UCC at this moment of time, and they're full value for their lead. I suppose Imokilly would probably be saying to themselves now, listen lads, we need to start to get a grip on this, particularly from Colin Barry, I suppose full back, Niall O'Leary centre back. Both of them are under pressure from both their markers, and I suppose they'll be looking for leadership out of I suppose Bill Cooper in the middle of the field, their inter-county player. And I suppose up front then, Shane O'Regan, is trying hard, but there isn't a whole pile of ball going in directly into the foot, and the full forward line is finding that they're going to are drifting out a small bit to try and get some ball. But the biggest issue at the moment is that the Imokilly half back line aren't clearing enough ball. You've know that Kieran O'Brien is steady here in the half back line, he's not clearing anything, and John Cronin hasn't been involved, and John has been an outstanding servant to Imokilly for the last number of years. So this moment in time, it's very much UCC in the ascendancy.
Yeah, and Imokilly broke out of that huddle over on the far side for the water break pretty sharply. I'd imagine a few home truths were told over there, and for UCC, well, can Imokilly get a handle on Shane Conway? Just looking down at him, it's fantastic to watch it in a game that's become more physical, more fast and more furious as the years have gone on, Mark, to see someone as slightly built as Shane Conway just doing the damage that he's doing.
Yeah, but he is an exceptional player, to be fair to him. He's got all kinds of class, and I suppose you'd have to say that if he's not marked up, he's going to end up scoring 6, 7 or 8 points this evening. And they've
another one just introduced onto the pitch, Shane Barrett of Blarney, another player who's well capable of taking his scores. The Cork underage star Shane Barrett has been introduced by UCC. They've only got, by my count, 7 substitutes on the bench this evening, and looking down to our left, Keith O'Leary of Castle Lyons just looks to be limping away. He's come off the pitch.
He's gone away with the ice pack now. It's might have a slight nick in the hamstring and stuff for that, and I suppose you know where people, I suppose where clubs are looking in now this evening, and they have their own club championships coming up over the next couple of weeks and stuff like that. So I think most players will probably err on the side of caution to make sure they're available for the clubs, and that's a big thing with Imokilly, is that all the lads that are playing for Imokilly tonight are either from a junior or an intermediate club in the East Cork division, and most of them are still left in their own championship, their own respective championship. So it's a big decision for all those lads to be playing, particularly tonight.
4th point of the evening, 3rd from a place ball from William Leahy of Ahada, and that brings the deficit down to 6 points now. UCC still with a sizable lead, as Dylan Desmond doesn't go short with the puck out this time. Contested ball between Montgomery and Niall O'Leary, and it breaks the way of Imokilly. And now from the right in the slap bang in the centre of the pitch, this one has also gone left and wide from Brian Lawton.
Yeah, just three or four wides there now, but again it was Niall O'Leary who won the puck out, and it was Kieran O'Brien who cleared it, and the ball is broken to Niall O'Leary now again. And this is I suppose this is what you really want. You want your key guys in the key positions to be winning their own personal battles. So Niall O'Leary is starting to come to the game now after 18 or 19 minutes, and it's no more than we'd expect from an experienced player like Niall O'Leary.
You could see the tactic there from Dylan Desmond. He saw he had a runner in Neil Montgomery who's broken a lot of ball from that centre forward position, but he just overcooked the puck out, and in a flash Niall O'Leary, Montgomery's marker, was able to pick it out of the sky and send it back over Desmond's crossbar. Fine margins. And here is Mark Coleman for UCC. What service he's given them, back-to-back Fitzgibbons. Score of that sideline cut to beat DCU in the semi-final. First chance for Barrett. Look at this. If this carries, that's a magnificent from Shane Barrett.
Absolutely fantastic score. As we covered Castlelyons and Blarney a number of weeks ago, he played full forward, but got a great pass from Mark Coleman, his teammate there, and slapped it over from 50 yards out here on the sideline off his left. Great, really good score
from the former Cork minor captain Shane Barrett into that midfield with the injury to Keith O'Leary. They also have another one worth watching on the bench as well. Paddy Power of Blarney. Mark O'Leary is there as well, brother of Chris, as UCC come forward again. So they don't have much in terms of numbers on the bench, UCC, but they certainly have quality. And speaking of quality, Conway zips a ball inside. Fantastic pass as well to pick out Brian Kelleher. Deserves a score, this. UCC worked that so well.
Conway is an absolute pleasure to watch. Des, it's remarkable. It was a long ball across, which probably was overcooked by young Verling, and Conway sped out, spun around, and saw his UCC teammate on the 40 straight into his hand and over the bar. Fantastic score.
Well, he won All Ireland Minor B titles with Kerry 2015 and 16, and under 21B in 2017. 2019 Fitzgibbon Cup Player of the Year. 32 points that year, 39 points in their win this year. I think Lichtenau, I'll be open to correction, but might have been knocked out of the championship down in Kerry by Abbey Dorney, but UCC is certainly benefiting from that. And they've managed to break the ball here into the hands of Paddy O'Loughlin of Kilmallock, who looks out over towards that far side. And the pressure is on to try and keep that ball in play. He's not been able to do so though, and play restarted quickly. Imokilly man bottled up but manages to break through. Into the tackle goes Owen Clifford for UCC, and they've got enough numbers back there, and eventually Paddy O'Loughlin can work it back to Dylan Desmond, and he comes out over towards this near side, and Dana Desmond looking to break it down. Bill Cooper gets the shout from over on this near side, and all alone is Liam O'Shea. 1 point already. Imokilly's first of the evening was a beauty. He's looking to add his second. That looks good as well.
Yeah, fantastic score and a great call from Liam O'Shea. He had gone loose and Bill Cooper had heard the call, turned around and gave it to him. But just remarking there, Dylan Desmond in goals there for Rogue. It's a great opportunity for Dylan tonight to be playing with remarkable, like he hasn't been involved with UCC in the Fitzgibbon, because Jack Barry on the other side of the field is the number one keeper. But it's magnificent that he can play in the club championship as a Cork player, and from an Rogue club point of view as well, getting great exposure in the senior hurling championship here in Cork.
William Leahy just managed to keep himself in play. Awkward looking landing that for Brian Lawton. Then snapped one over his shoulder. This one dropping short. He's had a couple of wides, just that not happening in terms of his shooting so far for Brian Lawton.
And Shane O'Regan had actually gone free, that if he had controlled the first time, the goal opportunity was on.
Real scramble for possession, tight to that far sideline. It's Conway, is it, who's got his sticking it again? No, it's not. It's Brian Kelleher.
And John Cronin is starting to come into the game now as well. He's starting to get to grips on his marker as well, and he's very much involved.
What about this from Neil Montgomery? I think he's had 4 shots. He's got 4 points.
Exceptional play from centre forward. Great return so far, and we've only 23 minutes gone in the game.
I'm talking to Tom Kenny ahead of the game. He gave me a little look at what was a rejigged forward line, and certainly where they've put them, all these forwards have delivered for UCC. And there's another one sent over. Yeah,
and again, a short, I won't say a short puck out, but a puck out that was intercepted and was, I suppose, given back with maximum penalty on it. Des, when you start taking short puck outs, that the player has put it over the bar.
Jack Barry, the UCC goalkeeper last year. And it's the UCC goalkeeper this year, Dylan Desmond, watching that one sail over the bar from Bill Cooper.
Yeah, and a great long puck out from Jack there. So he's recovered of that. He's hit it long, and a batted ball out to Bill Cooper, got onto the breaking ball, scored off his left hand side, and a score is very much that Imokilly want and need.
Pushing on 24 minutes played at Park Irene. Fantastic fare so far, served up by the champions Imokilly, and the side looking to dethrone them this evening, UCC. UCC off to a blistering start in the game. Imokilly worked their way back into it, but UCC, every time they go forward, look like they carry a threat. It was one of the questions we posed at the outset, that on paper that back six for Imokilly very, very strong. How would UCC fare against them?
Yeah, Kieran O'Brien, Niall O'Leary and John Cronin have been, involved. John Cronin's been there every year, and Niall and Kieran have been there for 2 of the last 3 or 4 years. Injury and Niall going to UCC. So they're a very, very experienced team. Michael Russell, cornerback, has played centre back on a number of occasions, and Colin Barry has been the full back for the last 3 years. I suppose, Darragh O'Brien in the corner is just his first year in, and he's getting a fair baptism of fire tonight at Premier Senior Championship.
Leahy, does that one have the legs dropping just short? Spilled on the line, but he got a second bite at it. Paddy O'Loughlin managed to get his hand pass away. David Griffin off in chase. Ships a big shoulder, Griffin, but manages to get back to his feet. Good work from the cornerback. Back to the safety of his goalkeeper, Dylan Desmond. And now out to Mark Coleman. Lovely ability to play with his head up. Looking to pick his pass. Ball down, right down in front of us. Brian Verling of Clodove, playing in the Intermediate A Championship at club level. Here's an opportunity for Brian Kelleher, who's got a couple already. And this one dropping short, eyes on it all the way from Jack Barry. And now he drives it towards centre field, pulled on first time. Race is on for possession now. First there is Mark Coleman. Sharp to react to that breaking ball. Coleman turns back, has support back on his inside. This one awful long way out from Paddy O'Loughlin. Imokilly have some big men in that full back line, and it's one of them to come away with it. Michael Russell. The hand pass is accurate. Here is Barry Lawton of Castlemartyr, setting sail down that far side, being chased by Brian Verling. Drops it into his full forward line. Escapes the attentions initially of David Griffin, who's trying to get it back again, but Griffin, it's a bit of work in his hands here. Leahy gets the hand pass away. Lovely hand pass as well it is, and the chance is there. Maybe heading towards the top corner, but again UCC managed to get a stick to it, and now they hand pass their way out. Here's Montgomery. What a half he's had. And the dual Waterford player steps forward. Again they look for the angle ball down into the corner. It's got enough to get over the head of Darragh O'Brien. Good cover though from Niall O'Leary. Nice turn from Leahy onto his left hand side. And it's another wide for Imokilly.
And the other couple of scores that actually have gone a begging there there's now for Imokilly, but Willie Lee had a good opportunity there, and before him I think Shane O'Regan possibly went for the goal when maybe the point was a better option for him. But like UCC will be absolutely delighted at this moment in time that they're 7 points up.
Ooh, it's a heavy hit coming in on David Griffin, who turned into it blind. Barry Lawton, the Imokilly man involved.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I think just body to body, to be fair. I don't think there was any intent coming from Barry Lawton, to be honest. And like, you didn't hear any clash. It was just a body against body, and I'd be very, very surprised if it is anything more than a yellow card here.
I think the problem for David Griffin was, as we said, he turned blind into it, didn't have a chance to brace himself, so bore the full impact of that one. Yellow card, as you mentioned, for Barry Lawton.
But David Griffin, another lad that has come through the development squads with Cork, there won't be any fear of this young fella. He'll definitely get up and play. He's a great, honest, great attitude, great guy now, and played midfield the other night, as we said previously. He's back in the more accustomed in the full back line, and he's playing exceptionally well this evening as well.
And part of a Carrigaline side, we weren't quite sure what to expect from them in the Premier Intermediate Championship, but 2 wins out of 2, beating Courcey Rovers, beating Aghada.
Yeah, and his teammate Brian Kelleher is hurling extremely well tonight as well.
Sharp turn there from Éanna Desmond.
Another Carrigaline
man setting off. They're well represented in this UCC team. Imokilly cleared the danger. Cooper stretching out his left hand. Couldn't make it stick though. Hand pass into midfield. UCC have 3 men here to try and apply the pressure on Liam O'Shea.
And no need to give away the free there now. A small little bit of inexperience, I suppose, there from Shane. He probably, like, there was 3 UCC fellas were around Shane, Liam O'Shea. In those situations, you just leave it play out. When you have numbers back, there's no need to be dragging and pulling a fella and giving away a simple free, knocking it over now to one of your good strikers. But I suppose the big thing when I'm looking at the forwards here for UCC tonight, you have Éanna Desmond Carrigaline, Brian Keller Carrigaline, Brian Verling Clodove, and Owen McCarthy in Ascara. Like, we haven't really heard an awful lot about those 4 lads, but they're getting an opportunity to play senior club hurling, a premier senior club hurling here this evening, which I think is fantastic for club hurling in Cork.
Plenty of air on that one from Leahy. It's definitely drifting left, and UCC can shepherd it out. And the wides tally beginning to tot up now for Imokilly. Most of them heading out towards that left hand side and wide.
That's where you've 8 wides at this station. That's where the loss of Decky Dalton is being felt tonight, because last year that would be over the bar.
8 wides for Imokilly in this first half. They've certainly let a few easy ones behind them. UCC looking to capitalise on that. Montgomery stretching, but again it's one just tantalisingly over his head and taken in by Niall O'Leary. William Leahy, this one, well, he made sure he wasn't going to go left and wide. He pulled it too far to the right though. 9 wides now.
It's a lot of wides at this moment in the game, and there's a lot of ball out. I mean, if you're the full forward line for Imokilly, you'll be saying, lads, come on, knock a few balls into us, please.
Here's Cooper from a long way out. Umpire arching his back and having a good look at that one. And that's, as you mentioned, they need some of these really experienced players to step up and be counted now. Big point that from Bill Cooper.
Fantastic score from Bill Cooper in the middle of the field. And Shane, he's being marked by Shane Barrett from Blarney, a young lad at the moment, but a great score by Bill Cooper.
Dylan Desmond out towards Conway, who's been dealt with in unceremonious fashion that time over by the Imokilly substitutes and management. And Leahy, that's another good chance, and as soon as he hit it, he's hands on his head, knowing that one was another wide. Takes them to double figures for wides in this first half. Imokilly.
like Mark Coleman is on an ocean of ball for UCC. If you're in the Imokilly, mentally you should be trying to get your half forward to tighten up them.
Just looking at the moment, Niall O'Leary and John Cronin seem to be reading that ball now into the half forward line of UCC a little bit better.
Yeah, but Montgomery has gone all on his own, and Niall O'Leary has had to sprint 50 yards to try and mark him.
Look where Conway's picked up here, improvises the pass, drills it into the ground to pick out his man. That man was Carl Walsh, and on in turn for Brian Kelleher. And the long left hand of Jack Barry to good effect there for Imokilly, as the Castle linesman clutches it to prevent it going over that bar. 31 and a half almost minutes played here now, a couple to be added on at least for the water break. And with the injury as well to David Griffin. And there'll be another score or two tacked on before we reach the whistle. Stalemate over on that far side. A reminder of the scoreline: Imokilly 10 points, UCC 113, a 6-point lead for the college. And Imokilly hoping they can whittle that down a little bit more now before the half-time break.
A goal would be a great score for Imokilly just before half-time, and like the UCC backs only look like giving up one, Des.
And look at that again. Paddy O'Loughlin just sets himself right on the edge of the square for anything that drops short, and there have been a few. And that will bring us to the half-time whistle, and what an excellent first half that was for UCC. Two-time county champions. I think Ray Cummins was playing the last time they won one though, but they've served a little bit of notice here that this is a massive second half now to come for the three-time defending champions Imokilly, who were struggling all at sea, Mark, in the opening minutes as UCC came blazing into the game right from the start, came flying out of the blocks, reined in 4 points without reply before they'd even hit a wide, before Imokilly had a sight of their own goal. But that was a super half from UCC, and that really does put it up to Imokilly now.
Oh yeah, magnificent first half from UCC, having played against the Breeze as well, and the Breeze is fairly fresh here this evening, Des, but they're hurling with supreme confidence, backed by Dylan Desmond in goals, he seems very steady in goals. He's mixing it up a lot as well with long puck outs and short puck outs to Mark Coleman in particular, who's dropping back into the pocket for those puck outs. But I think in the overall context of things, the two guys up front, the two main men, I suppose, Shane Conway and Neil Montgomery, have got 4 points each, both from full forward and centre forward, and the other lads then are complementing themselves. I suppose you'd have to say that young Kelleher from Carrigaline looks a threat as well, and Verling full forward or corner forward from Clodovus playing extremely well as well. So
1-1 for Owen McCarthy as well.
Delighted, and I mean he finished his goal with a plum. We had a great view, went into to Jack Barry's top right hand corner. But I suppose this is exactly what the championship is all about in Cork, is that you have upsets at this moment in time. You certainly have an upset on the cards, but like the fact that we're able to cover the games and stream them live. I know there's no crowd here, but you know, and I suppose neither of the two teams would have a big crowd here this evening, but the game is being played in a very sporting manner, and the quality of the hurling is top class, and the better players are probably coming to the fore. In particular, I think Mark Coleman has been on an ocean of ball for UCC, and Conway has been brilliant, and Montgomery has been excellent as well. And then on the Imokilly side, I suppose, you know, unless their half backline will start to shore up the ball, their backs are under pressure in the overall context of things. Bill Cooper has been steady enough in the middle of the field, but he's ploughing alone forward at the moment. And then up front, I think, you know, some of the opportunities that have come their way, they probably haven't taken the best of choices. Brian Lawton had won a great ball maybe after 10 or 12 minutes, had actually turned inside and came back out. He had the hard work done by actually winning the puck out and turned back out to give a ball back out. And another ball that he miscontrolled, Shane O'Regan had actually gone inside on his own, and if he had got the ball first time, I think it would have been a goal opportunity. But I think Imokilly will be very disappointed with some of their forwards and the amount of points that they have and the amount of wides they've actually had in the first half. Particularly, you know, when you're under pressure and stuff like that, you just need to be able to keep the ball and play, recycle the ball, and don't be taking pot shots for the sake of taking them.
Before the game threw in, there was still maybe half an hour to throw in here. Tom Kenny and John Granger were huddled down below, and they had their sheet of paper and they were going through their team. Now, I didn't ask them exactly what they were talking about, but you just got the impression that they were maybe just having a look maybe at the Imokilly team, saying where would we place our forwards perhaps, because that's where they've made the changes. The backline was predictable in terms of where they'd line up, but to have the idea when you know you've got someone like as physical as Colin Barry playing full back there for Imokilly, Castleline star, one of the best full backs there is, but to put someone like Shane Conway, so quick to turn, dragging him around the place in there, that looked a masterstroke in the early minutes.
Well, you know, early on, certainly at this moment in time, it seems to be a masterstroke, but a lot of this Des comes down to the quality of ball that has been struck into him, and in particular Mark Coleman is hitting that cross-field ball across to him, and if Conway's converted as well, then that is the other side of it. But I think if you're coming up and you're a UCC player coming to this game this evening, and you know and you hear that Seamus Hannity, a three-time county winning captain, is not playing, I think that is a great fill-up for any team. And all of a sudden then fellas are starting to say, you know what, let's try and knock these guys off their perch. And I've seen this happening with UCC before. Back in when I was playing, we played here. We were going for 3 counties in a row with Imokilly, and UCC beat us by a point here in Park Ewing. Jeez, that's 21 years ago, and it's still great for me, to be honest, with it, to this day. But look, that's what happens. And then UCC went out in the county final afterwards to Blackrock and were well beaten, but they were taking Imokilly off their perch at that time, and that's the quality that UCC players do possess. But what I'm really, really delighted with tonight is that the players that are involved with UCC, barring Paddy O'Loughlin at centre back and Niall Montgomery at centre forward, everybody else is from Cork. And that is really the big thing for me. And there was clubs that were, I suppose, wanted UCC out of the championship. I have no problem with UCC being involved in the championship. I suppose where the issue arises is that you have senior club players from outside of the county involved with UCC, and it's seen as they're getting 2 opportunities to play in a senior championship. But I'm looking at the players, and we've mentioned them already, like the likes of Owen McCarthy from Inniscarra, Verling from Clodove, Brian Keller from Carrigaline, and Aina Desmond. You had Carl Welch from Ballincollig, and then you look at the likes of Owen Clifford from Clodove tonight, Clonakilty, David Lowney, and James Keating, Kildallery. Those lads are getting massive experience being able to play in the Premier Senior Hurling Championship, and that is, that was the basis of the Imokilly thing, and that was the Imokilly story that's for the last 20 or 30 years, is that you had junior and intermediate players play senior hurling and been given the opportunity to play senior hurling.
The one thing I couldn't shake coming here was, given the way this championship was structured this year, and the need to structure it the way it was, is there's no back door here now for Imokilly. They're coming straight in, and this is a chance, and maybe UCC are thinking this is our chance now to catch them.
And we also mentioned the fact that UCC had a pipe opener in the middle of the week, and if you go back in the last number of years, Imokilly always came through the divisional set up, and they had 2 or 3 pipe openers. So this is a real test of their character this evening, and there's a long ways to go yet, Des, but it's a real test.
Yeah, potential massive story unfolding at Páirc Uí Rinn. The 4 in a row chasing Imokilly, the county champions in Cork, have really had it put up to them by UCC in the first half. It's a 6-point lead for the college, 113 to 10 points at half time. And this flamboyant UCC team, who look to carry a threat every time they go forward, are coming again here. Nice turn, and a shot off his left hand side and over the bar from Brian Verling. And straight out of the traps again, UCC.
Yeah, and just exactly the score that you'd want if you're a UCC player, and it's actually the score that Imokilly don't want to have to concede so early in the game, and they've brought on John Looney for Brian Mulcahy at half time.
Ball to be contested between Paddy O'Loughlin, who I think has been penalised here.
He has, and I think it looks as though Bill Cooper has gone to centre forward as well for the second half, and that Brian Lawton has come to the middle of the field on Shane Barrett from Blarney. I suppose what Imokilly want to do here now is they want to keep the scoreboard ticking over if all possible, and not to concede scores on the other side. If they can get to within 2 or 3 points at some stage during the second half, they'll feel, the experience they've got for the last number of years, that they'll be able to reel in this UCC team. But the fact that UCC have won in the last number of Fitzgibbons, they'll have fierce confidence, and they won't be giving up too easy, Des.
Yeah, and what a thriller that was against IT Carlow, the semi-final and the final against DCU and IT Carlow back in February. As we said, it's a much changed 15. Here's an opportunity. You had steadied it beautifully on the hurl and then popped it over the bar. Fantastic score from Barry Lawton. He's second of the evening.
Yeah, it's a great score, and it's exactly what Imokilly needed there now, and he took on James Keating down the sideline. Fantastic score.
Now Imokilly, you just sense, need that run of 3, 4, maybe 5 scores on the bounce, just to put some doubt in the UCC minds, because they played with such a fresh abandon UCC from the very first ball that was thrown in. They've gone after Imokilly this evening, no doubt about it.
They have, and Brian Kelleher there from Carrigaline now took on John Cronin down the stand side of in Parky Ring here, and he's won a very, very important free for his team. You know, after Imokilly getting the last 2 points, one from Will Leahy and one from Barry Lawton, sorry. An important score here now for Shane Conway.
And the breeze favouring him. Not that he needed it, you wouldn't think. Dead eye from Conway again as he moves on to 5 points for the evening.
And Imokilly have moved their 2 half-backs as well. Kieran O'Brien and John Cronin have swapped wings in the second half.
Kieran Cronin trying everything he can now just to make sure they shore things up defensively in Imokilly and give these forwards a chance to start whittling away at that UCC lead. Niall O'Leary turning out towards John Cronin. It's gone over his head though. And from a long way out, it's Brian Lawton who'll be hoping for better fortunes in this second half. Dylan Desmond came to try and make it his. And that's an unnecessary ball really back out towards this half-forward line. They might yet leave with something. They'll be hoping they do. That one dropping short as well, and Dylan Desmond saved hands again underneath it from the Air Oak man. A couple of opportunities for a point there for Imokilly, but they didn't manage to take one.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Des. You know, and you know, the bit of nervousness is starting to come into the play because, you know, on 2 or 3 different occasions they had players well placed to actually knock the ball over the bar and pass the responsibility off to somebody else.
Carl Walsh played a good ball in, and Carl Walsh gets on it again. And the Ballincollig man sees his man in space inside, pops the pass to Shane Barrett, and Barrett splits the posts. Excellent composure from Carl Walsh.
And 2 points from Shane Barrett now, who's started as sub for UCC and replaced Keith O'Leary from Castlelyons, and a really, really positive influence in the game so far.
Jack Barry looking out towards that far side. Not the easiest of balls as Mark Coleman was applying the pressure. A sideline cut given to UCC.
It just shows when things go against you as well, Des. Like, you know, that was it seemed like a 50-50 ball from where we are here, but the sideline has been awarded to UCC, and I suppose a lot of times you make your own look as well. Like,
big night for UCC with the footballers taking on Duhallow in their divisional final as well. That's taking place in Glantan. We'll bring you an update on that one as we go on here. But for the hurlers, so far so good here. Down into the corner, Owen McCarthy. That low centre of gravity turned sharply now. Was there a hurl swung out there? Imokilly not happy. Happened just behind the upright that I'm trying to steer around here. I'm not sure if you had a better view of that, Mark.
It seemed like, you know, that I think the Imokilly cornerback may have been Michael Russell that might have been hanging off of him, and I think Owen McCarthy didn't like the close attention, and he might have flicked back to Hurley. You might get away with that now on a Sunday morning down the field and stuff like that. Like, you know, you might have the square fella like that might be hanging off you, but I think the fact that Simon Stokes has now spoken to his linesman, he's gone in to speak to his umpires. I'd be slightly concerned, I'd say, for Owen McCarthy. He may be lucky to get away with this. Now it's happened a long ways away from us, but there's a lot of pressure on referees, to be fair, at the moment in terms of getting the decisions right. But, you know, Simon Stokes has done everything right at the moment. He's spoken to his linesman and he's spoken to his 2 umpires. The fact that he's not going to Michael Russell just yet, I think young McCarthy might be in a spot of bother here. But we'll just have to wait and see. He's getting a yellow.
I think we just had a quick look at a replay here, Mark. Didn't look to be a whole lot in it at all. So,
but it sounded like, from where we were now, because you have no crowd here, it sounded like there was a slap of a Hurley and stuff for that. But you know, the game has been played in a very sporting fashion. There hasn't been a stroke in the game so far, and to be, I suppose, would be not in keeping with the context of the game, I suppose, in the overall days. But I suppose if you're Imokilly right now, you're 7 points down at the moment. You're chasing a 4-county final or 4-county championship. They need to start to get back into the game. They need to make things happen at this moment in time.
We can tell you it's a close one down in Glantan between UCC and Duhallow. Latest score, that one also threw in at 7 o'clock incidentally, is Duhallow 2-9, UCC 2-6. That's in the football divisional final. Jack Barry puts everything he had behind that one. Big ball picked up by Coleman, pops the hand pass back inside. Look where Conway has popped up, but the economy of effort, just the style, the risks, everything from Conway. He's been fantastic this evening. There's a ball down into the corner, and looking to take it on the turn is Brian Verling, who's around his man, and Verling going for goal. And Jack Barry standing strong right at his near post, defending that with his life.
Yeah, that was an opportunity now for game, set and match there. Fantastic ball in here from James Keating, who had been spotted by Shane Conway and had broken into Verling, and it was a great opportunity. I think it may have been Michael Russell that he might have been coming back and got the touch out for the 65. But the important thing for UCC now is that they get the point out of the goal opportunity that's come their way.
You could see the killer instinct in Brian Verling there as well. Once he was goal side of his man, I think it was Darragh O'Brien, he got away from. He'd only one intention, and that was to find the back of the net, and Conway makes sure they leave with a point, his 6th of the evening. And further changes coming for Imokilly. We'll confirm those in a minute. Darragh O'Brien going off, and Darragh O'Leary coming on. Darragh O'Leary of Watergrass Hill.
A young player as well, an up-and-coming young lad. Was involved with the Cork Miners a number of years ago. He's still under 20. Be looking forward to see him getting his first taste of Premier Senior Hurling Championship tonight.
Well, Imokilly needs someone to spark this reaction, or else their grip on this county title is loosening by the second. For skills from Conway again. Angle ball inside. Just too high on that occasion for Owen McCarthy, and Imokilly go long and go direct and go early with that ball. UCC get numbers around it. Here's Shane O'Regan, we've hardly mentioned him in the game, starved of service. Imokilly work it well this time. Here's an opportunity, and that one over the bar from the substitute John Looney.
Yeah, fantastic score, well worked score for Imokilly there. First ball after 9 minutes, as we've seen, going into John Looney, and well capable of striking the ball over right and left at his ease.
Another one of the added contingent. Flicked forward by John Cronin, who's back over on this left-hand side now. Sideline ball to be taken by Barry Lawton. No, he'll leave it for John Cronin of Lisgould. One of those chasing a 4th medal on the spin.
Yeah, the next 10 minutes now will decide this game here. It was 6 points at half point. It's 7 now. But I think if Imokilly really want to make tracks, they're going to have to get 3 or 4 points in this next 10 minutes and not concede any scores to UCC, or else they're going out of the championship.
Darragh O'Leary converged on there as UCC sensed the opportunity to turn over possession that they've managed to do. Now looking to get this dangerous forward line going again. That's a foul by Owen McCarthy. They're not letting Imokilly out easily. As they say, the defending starts from the front, and they've not been found wanting in that regard, UCC. Kieran O'Brien takes the free. That's a foul on Looney, who's starting to get involved now after his introduction.
Yeah, and one thing in particular now that has happened is that UCC have brought Shane Conway out the field, and he's probably playing inside. He's actually on 65 at the moment, which, I think it's a bit early in the game to be actually coming that far back. I mean, if you have a threat like Conway, he needs to be in the mix up on his own forward line. He's definitely playing wing forward, and Kieran O'Brien from St. Edith has gone over to mark him. And there's one thing you'll be guaranteed here is that Kieran O'Brien will mark him tightly.
Looks like Paddy Power is on the field as well for UCC, the Blarney Star. There's William Leahy from not the easiest of angles. There's no problem in popping that one over either.
No, but
and he's kept that scoreboard ticking. 6 points in the evening now for William Leahy.
And it's a score that is required for Imokilly. If they are to stay in the championship, they need to start keeping it. They need to get the next 3 or 4 points.
Montgomery was the target again. Imokilly alive to that. Got 3 men around him that time, but Barrett quick on the loose ball right in the centre of the field. Good ball into that half forward line. The hand pass is a beautiful one. And coming forward at pace was Carl Walsh. He's been bottled up, but
good decision.
Too many steps.
Yeah, very good decision there, Des. And Carl Walsh would have been better off if he just drove through the tackle. He left the lads, I suppose, hold them up, and he's been blown for overcarrying.
Jack Barry out of goal and heading into the right half back position where he let that one fly from. That's a heavy hit coming in from James Keating. And the referee's going to have a word with the Kildare man.
Seemed to be a body check again from James Keating, and is Simon Stokes is going to the notebook again. I'd say it'll probably be only a yellow card as well in the course of how Simon Stokes has reffed the game already. He has been, Simon Stokes has been excellent in the game so far.
End of the night for Liam O'Shea, who with limited possession took 2 very good scores. Would have liked to have been on more ball, I'm sure, but it's Josh Bosang of Russell Rovers who got to the All-Ireland final. Lost out to Connacht Shamrocks, having won the Cork Junior title. But again, just these moments for Leahy to keep chipping away at that lead.
And that's 3 points in a row there now. 2 frees from Leahy and 1 from play from John Looney. You know, Imokilly is starting to turn the screw.
And for Josh Bosang, who, as we mentioned, was playing junior hurling not so long ago, lower intermediate grade now. He's definitely a scorer, and they've thrown him in here. Scored 1-9 against Ballygarvan in a recent game. And this is Looney looking for another. What an impact he's made.
Yeah, another lad that has come through the development squads with Cork as well. He had an injury last year, missed all last season, was out, and now we have a short puck out taken from UCC and punished, rightly so.
And Bosang, who's only just on the pitch, sends that one over the bar.
And that's 5 on the bounce now for Imokilly. And you know, I only said a while ago that there was 7 points in it. They needed to get the next 3 or 4 to get within 2 or 3 points, and they'd have an opportunity of staying in the championship.
Yeah, we were saying that at half time. They needed a run. They needed a run of 3, 4, 5 scores unanswered, and they found that. And that's was it higher? Was John Cronin ducking in a little bit? I think Montgomery, as tall as he is, it was one of those ones where the referee's going to give him the benefit.
Yeah, but again, don't need it. Like, his frees they're conceding. They need to just start playing the ball and get on the ball, because they have plenty of opportunity if they keep playing the ball and stop conceding frees.
Mark Coleman all over Bill Cooper here. Know each other well, those two. Here's Montgomery, UCC now. It's their turn to need a settling score. That one won't have enough though. Broken down by Jack Barry. He's starting to get more and more adventurous as this half goes on, and the need becomes more pressing for Imokilly.
Well, if Imokilly needed the water break in the first half, it is UCC to need the water break in the second half.
Yeah, they've chipped away Imokilly. They're within that Owen McCarthy goal in the first half now of UCC, and there's a ball through the middle. The race is on. An opportunity for Shane O'Gorrig. Tried to get his hand pass away, and now the referee's going to bring it back.
Yeah, just was a free and all right. I think it may have been David Griffin or David Lowney in the full back line that stopped Shane O'Regan coming through. It may have been a goal opportunity before that, and this will go for 6 points in a row now for Imokilly to bring it to a 2-point game.
One of the easier ones for Willie Leahy this evening. Drives that one over, and Imokilly certainly with the bit between their teeth now. We've played 45 minutes, and it's now UCC 117, Imokilly 18 points, and UCC just need to regain their composure now, get the right men on the ball and start picking a few scores. Conway got a hurl to it, tries to shoulder his man over the line. The hand pass is a loose one from Kieran O'Brien, picked up by Paddy Power. And the Blarney man with his first chance to send one goalwards, a fraction to the left and wide. And there comes the water break. That would have been a big score for UCC had Paddy Power managed to land it, but he hasn't done. And now we have the water break, and it's just a 2-point game. 2-point
game, and UCC have whatever breeze is there, but Imokilly have thundered back into the game with 6 points in a row. Willie Leahy has 3 of them from frees. You have John Looney with a point and Josh Bosang. So 2 of the subs that have come on have got 3 points from play, which is great credit to Kieran Cronin and his sideline members, because it was certainly looking like the UCC had a stranglehold on the game at that moment in time. But it's fierce tense now, it's fierce exciting as well. It's only a 2-point game. I suppose UCC don't have a massive bench or panel this evening. I think they've 7 subs, but I think 2 of them or 3 of them have been used at this moment in time. So I think there's great credit due to Imokilly, but champions don't go away easy, Des, and it's fantastic the way they have turned it back into the game, and they're showing your real fighting qualities. I suppose is exactly what you want, and they're the team that actually do want to get back out in this because they have all the momentum at this moment in time. And UCC would have heard that big roar coming from across the pitch as Imokilly broke from their huddle over there. Very different from when we had the last water break when they were in serious trouble. We can tell you 10 minutes into the second half of the football, it's Duhallow 2-11
UCC 3-6. UCC with a goal in that one to bring it back to a 2-point game. So it's tight there, it's tight here. It could be a very good night or a very bad one for UCC, depending on how the next
2 up in the hurling and 2 down in the football. But it's all to play for at this moment in time. I think UCC have gone out of the game, and a part of that is that Shane Conway was brought out the field. He was a massive threat inside. UCC didn't carry as big a threat when he was out of, but he's gone back in full forward now, and I think that'll probably give UCC a target to go for straight away.
Paddy O'Loughlin came charging out to break down that ball, and now it's a stalemate. The referee's got his eye on it. It's an Imokilly man who comes away with it. He's been bottled up though. James Keating gets on it for UCC, pops the hand pass. Here's an opportunity for Carl Walsh, angles one down in the corner, asking a lot though. Owen McCarthy's giving chase, but the Imokilly man had a head start, and here comes John Cronin trying to shake his man off, eases into him to give himself a yard to get his strike in. Picked up by Barry Lawton. Great to see Barry Lawton back on a pitch, fully fit and going again. Likewise, Kieran O'Brien, 2 big returns for Imokilly this year. That one's going left and wide though from Barry Lawton.
Yeah, just a little bit of nerves there now, but Paddy Power before the water break just shaved the post, and Barry Lawton there. Great ball from Josh Bouzang, and did the right thing, came out with first time, controlled it and offloaded it to Barry. Just a small little bit unlucky.
Mark O'Leary of Valley Rovers, brother of Cork star Chris, is coming on. Chris, the Fitzgibbon winner himself back in his UCC days. Outstanding member of their win back in, was it 2018 I think. And it's David Lowney, the fullback, who's been replaced.
Great credit due to him to be playing his second game here today, this evening, Des.
Well, they've that to contend with UCC. They've, as we said, a lack of numbers on the bench really to deal with as well. It's been a fantastic display in the circumstances as the ball is played forward by Verling, but it breaks down in Imokilly. And John Cronin had to be careful there as he was going down. He was certainly fouled, but the hurl got a little loose beyond that. Lucky he didn't make contact with Montgomery.
Yeah.
It looks like it's Verling who's being pinned for a high tackle. And John Cronin explaining away to the UCC line exactly what went on there. Yellow card for Verling.
But I can understand why UCC didn't hit the ball first time into Shane Conway. They need to get a score. They haven't scored, I'd say, with something like about 12 or 13 minutes, and they need to get the ball into Conway as soon as possible. But it just on that occasion didn't go in.
And here is Jack Barry. Puts everything into that one, dropping right on the edge of the square. Chases on as Paddy O'Loughlin for UCC looks to close his man down. This would be some score if this goes over, but it has gone to the right and wide from Josh Bousang.
Yeah, it was a very ambitious score or opportunity. He may have been better off to knock it across the square and just keep the ball in play, because at the moment UCC are in 6s and 7 and Imokilly are on the ascendancy. 10
minutes to go, and it is a 2-point game in UCC's favour. Foul there on Shane Barrett, who's contributed 2 points to the UCC cause since coming on. It's time for calm heads, young players, but some experience amongst them as well, with the likes of Mark Coleman included, and they'll just need to try and find a way to settle themselves.
And they will look. They have won a
number.
Have to
remember they're still in front here,
and then they're Fitzgibbon Cup champions as well. They will have learnt a lot, and they're very, very good players, all of them.
Paddy O'Loughlin. Can Conway keep it in play? Just being eased out of the way. Another sub on the way. It's Dahi Heffernan from the Blackrock Club in Limerick. And he is coming on for the remaining 9 minutes plus whatever else is added on. And Brian Verling, having picked up that yellow card a few moments ago, is the man to make way.
It would be a concern, I suppose. I need the players that are on a yellow card at the moment. The last thing you want to do now is be on a second yellow and a red card to follow, and you need to keep 15 players on the field of play.
Imokilly swarming around the UCC man in possession to try and get back in possession themselves, and they have done. Here's John Cronin driving on the inside. As a man in support, that man is William Leahy, and this to reduce it to a 1-point game. Right and wide from William Leahy.
And they got the purple patch, 6 went over, and the last 2 now from Barry Lawton and Willie. 2 opportunities that probably should have went over have just sailed to the right and left it wide.
Uncontested take for Barry Lawton. Lawton closed down by James Keating, who got the block in. Way back in his own half, Brian Kelleher, as UCC look for a way out here. Climbing is Montgomery, just couldn't secure it though under real pressure from John Cronin.
And I suppose Imokilly have grown into the game as well, Des. You know, you would have to say that the longer the game is going, that tis Imokilly are actually growing and getting into and ascending all the time. And a lot of that is down to the fact that they haven't been together at all. And we mentioned before the game that they would have a good number of practice matches played at this stage, and they have nothing played this year.
Sideline cut from Cronin. Down the line he goes. Next score is a massive one. If UCC could get it, they'll give themselves daylight. But at the other end, this one is over the bar from Barry Lawton.
And a very good pass again from Josh Buzang. Did the right thing again here. You know, when he had the opportunity a while ago, he took it on from the corner. Probably wasn't the right decision. Very good decision here. Knocked it back to Barry Lawton, and a fantastic score from Barry to bring the game to within a point with 8 minutes left. 1
point game, tantalisingly poised now. UCC, who were in such a strong position at half-time. They would have expected this from Imokilly though. The champions have come out firing in this second half. And they're back to within 1 as John Cronin sends it forward. Dropping in that UCC half-back line, brilliantly taken by Coleman, and off he goes. Mark Coleman, we've seen him do this time and again. This one dropping short though, good shepherding of the inside forwards by the Imokilly full back line to allow Jack Barry come and take that one under no pressure at all. Huge ball driven downfield. Every one a crucial one now. Coleman gets on another one, pops it inside towards Shane Barrett. One-handed, flicks it away from pressure. Brilliant pick up from Shane Barrett, and off he goes down that left-hand side. The Imokilly line baying that he'd stepped out of play. But still on we go. Ferocious stuff now. UCC send one in towards Conway, who's making life awkward, couldn't get out in front of his man. And it's back with Jack Barry again, and Jack Barry has time to pick his pass out towards that far side. Sent long. Loose touch though will give Mark O'Leary his chance. Trying to get it clear, trying to get it to a teammate, Mark O'Leary, which he's managed to do. And back to the safety of the goalkeeper, Dylan Desmond.
Well, it has everything, Des, at this moment in time. There's dispossessions and there's mistakes. There's everything is going on, and both teams now are vying, I suppose, to get to the next round of the championship, and anything could happen at this stage.
Yeah,
it's anybody's game.
Who can hold their nerve now? Who can find those big moments, pick off those big scores? It's there to be won, it's there to be lost as John Cronin gets on another ball, becoming more and more prominent, the Liscool man. And now they come down the left-hand side. Imokilly flash down into the corner with their 2-on-2 down there. Bosang quick to get turned. Support arriving. Bosang holds on. Good block from Keating. Little moments like that might become big moments come the final whistle. Keating again drives it into the forward line towards Owen McCarthy. In there all on his own, and he's been seen off by Colin Barry. He goes back to his brother. And Jack out towards that far side. Bit of a loose one that though.
Imokilly seem to have grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck, even though they're down a point. It would look at this moment in time that they have the ability to actually get on level terms here and get the win. UCC are really clinging on at the moment now. The punch that they had in the first half, I mean, they've won 17. They haven't scored since the 38th minute. They've gone, the bones of 20 minutes without a score. It's dramatic stuff.
Well, the UCC footballers have gone in front now, 4-7 to 2-12 against Duhallow down in Glantan. Incredible stuff. For anyone associated with the college, it's a 1-point game there, it's a 1-point game here. Can they hold on for what would be a really notable double to beat the Imokilly hurlers, the county champions, to beat the Duhallow footballers, the beaten finalists last year?
It's end-to-end stuff, Des, now, isn't it? I mean, there's no team. Both teams, I suppose, are probably afraid to make a mistake, but one of them is going to have to grab and drive on in this game. And Kieran O'Brien has been exceptional in the last 7 or 8 minutes. Yeah,
these the minutes where championships are won and lost. Bill Cooper didn't get the contact he would have wanted down into the corner. Oh, pressure here on David Griffin, who'll be grateful to hear that whistle. The ball is in the net, but it won't count.
Yeah, we heard a chop. I don't know, was it a chop? There was certainly a clash of hurleys, and David Griffin will be very happy to have got that, because Shane O'Regan looked like he had robbed them of possession and was turning to take on the man. But we've only had 1 point in the last 10 minutes, which shows the pressure that's on both sides. And it shows you what's at stake here as well, and what it means to both teams. But in particular, John Cronin and Kieran O'Brien in the back line have been outstanding for Imokilly in the second half.
Yeah, they've really stood up in this second period, getting on plenty of ball and stemming the tide, and certainly quelling the danger possessed by this UCC side that we saw in full evidence in that first half. Shane Barrett blocked down over on the far sideline.
And huge amount of blocking and hooking we've seen as well in the last 10 minutes as well. And there's shades of the Fitzgibbon semi-final coming up here. There's because Mark Coleman is coming up. He'll be taking it from nearly the exact same spot that he scored in the semi-final to Fitzgibbon this year. The breeze probably isn't half as strong as it was that night. It was absolute hurricane that evening. But I mean, with a quality fella like this, and this may be the deadlock that UCC actually need to get on to get the scoreboard ticking again.
It would give them that little bit of breathing room. Coleman, he's caught it beautifully. He has caught it beautifully. He has done it again, Mark Coleman. What about that?
That's the first score since the 38th minute now for UCC, and it's come from a sideline cut from probably UCC's best player. Over the course of the game, Mark Coleman has been outstanding right through.
19 points in Imokilly, 118 for UCC, a 2-point game. And that mightn't seem like much of a buffer, but it's sounding an awful lot better than 1 point as it was just a few seconds ago. Imokilly looking to reply though. Ball sent back out again, shooting opportunity, and that one goes over the bar from Darragh O'Leary.
Fantastic score for Darragh O'Leary with the bases loaded. His team 2 points down with 2 minutes on the clock. Fantastic score off his left hand side. But Imokilly aren't going to die, Des. They're not going to go away. They're not 3-time champions for nothing. And it's great credit due to them to be in this position after being 7 points down with 15-16 minutes to go.
Keating spins away. They're still looking to pick their passes. UCC work their way through the lines. There's one down into the corner where they have a man out in front, Conway. A rare loose touch for him. We've certainly not mentioned him as much in this second half.
He looks
as Imokilly have thundered back into this game, but here's a chance for UCC. They could do with this one. They're claiming it's over. Imokilly saying it's wide, and the umpire agrees with the latter. And the protests continue from UCC.
He got a lot of encouragement from the Imokilly sideline there, but you know what? Conway actually looks exhausted, Des, in the second half.
It was Paddy Power who was convinced that one had gone over the bar, but not counted. William Leahy scrapping on his hands and knees for possession. Every ball a crucial one now. Shane Barrett pops off the hand pass. They've worked it to the man with time and space. That's Brian Kelleher. Kelleher sends it in. It's dropping. And Owen McCarthy blocked off. UCC not happy with that, but you'd have to say good full-back play.
But he went for glory, Des, from 90 yards out, and Shane Conway was right in front of him. We can see it from here. He shouted 3 or 4 times looking for the pass, and it never came to him.
Very secure touch under pressure for James Keating, who's impressed again this evening. Lovely take from Heffernan, and Cronin times that beautifully to get the hurl in.
Yep.
Almost at the 60-minute mark. We'll wait and see the couple to be added on for the water break. What will be added on beyond that? We'll have to wait and see. Imokilly will be hoping it's a healthy number. But UCC, you've got to hand it to them. Imokilly came roaring back at them, but they've managed to keep their noses in front. At least 2 to be added on. Will that be enough for the 3-in-a-row county champions, or does their defence of this title end first night out? UCC have given them a contest and then some, and they are in front, the students. Can they see it through now though? At least 3 minutes. They've added on one more. They found another one from somewhere. Ball played away by Owen Clifford. Here's Barrett. Gets on it. Very dangerous in possession. Strong runner and surging through the middle here, Barrett. Can he get his shot away under ferocious pressure? He's managed to do so. Well, they've had 2 huge points. Firstly from Mark Coleman. That one from Shane Barrett.
And that was a magnificent score from Shane Barrett, because he looked like he was pulled and dragged on 2 occasions. He went to his left and he went to his right. Fantastic score.
And it gives them that buffer again. 119 UCC, 20 points for Imokilly. But Imokilly come again. Darragh O'Leary off the bench has certainly made an impact. O'Leary still going. Darragh O'Leary goes for goal, beaten away by Desmond. Chance is still there, and in the back of the nets, Willie Leahy has found the goal for Imokilly. That in stoppage time puts the champions in front for the first time in the game.
And a great run by Darragh O'Leary right through the centre. Great stop by Dylan Desmond, and he parried the ball only out as far as Willie Leahy. Nothing he could do about that. And to be rough justice on UCC if they don't get an equaliser here.
Mark Coleman pops it to Barrett. There's half a block on that. UCC need the break to be kind here. Imokilly have the numbers though. This is a vital possession, whoever can come away with it. And here's an opportunity. It's Carl Walsh. And from this near side, it is over the bar from Brian Kelleher. UCC respond, level game with just over a minute to go.
Yeah, the extra minute of extra time makes an awful difference nowadays, because we were told 2, it's gone up to 3, there's a minute left, and it's all aboard.
Well, who will be the hero? Who will be the hero? Every ball a vital one now. Neil Montgomery, who had a monstrous first half, gets on it for UCC. This might be the moment. It's Paddy Power, has runners on his inside, back to Montgomery again, sets his sights. Montgomery over the bar from Neil Montgomery.
Well,
UCC back in front.
What a response from UCC, having conceded a goal. They'd went 2 points up, they had gone a point down, and they're back in the lead again. But I was here a number of years ago when Midland led by 2 points with time up, and UCC got 3 points on the bounce to win by 1.
Well, can they see it through now? Eyes on the clock inside the last 30 seconds of the 3 minutes to be added. UCC coming again. Conway bounces the pass on the inside to Paddy Power. Paddy Power has a look. He likes it. UCC like it. It's over the bar. 2-point lead for UCC. And Imokilly are on the brink here. Win the puck out is the shout from the UCC line. And Shane Barrett has managed to do that. He's got support from Dahi Heffernan. They are almost there, UCC. Heffernan gets on it. He's got all the time in the world here. Has he taken full advantage of it?
Yes.
He has done. 3 on the bounce from UCC.
Unbelievable. 4 on the bounce, Des, because they had gone a point down. What a response from UCC this evening.
And it is all over. It is all over. What a result at Park Erin. UCC have knocked out the champions Imokilly. What a game. Such a strong start to the game. UCC led comfortably, you would suggest, on the scoreboard at half-time. Expected that revival from Imokilly. It came in spades, but the reaction laid on from UCC to find their scoring boots again and knock over 4 unanswered. What a result for them.
It's actually a magnificent game, and it's a fantastic game game of hurling for the Premier Senior Championship. It had everything, Des, you'd have to say. You know, my hearts go to Imokilly this evening, who were fantastic. I suppose particularly in the last 20 minutes of the game, when the game started to go away from them. I'm just seeing off camera a lovely gesture here from John Granger, who's involved with UCC, going to Jack Barry, who's I suppose playing with Imokilly for the first time, and just giving him a pat in the back and saying, "Look, no sorry, son. Better luck the next time." But it was a magnificent game, and like I suppose you could sum it up. The last 3 minutes of injury time probably summed up the whole game, where the game actually went away from UCC having dominated for maybe 40 minutes of the game. Then Imokilly thundered into the game, got 6 or 7 points unanswered, and then got the goal from William Leahy when they were 2 points down to put them a point up in a minute into injury time. And then UCC to come back and get 4 points on the bounce. And I think one of them was from Mark Coleman, which was a critical score, but the next ones were all from play. It was just an amazing game, an amazing. I suppose if you didn't witness the last 4 or 5 minutes, you would say, yeah, sure, UCC went on, but actually Imokilly did take the lead, did get that goal when they wanted it. But you know what? I'd say when they got that goal, maybe everybody thought this is it now. We're 3-time champions. We'll probably see it out and stuff like that, but they didn't. And it's great credit down to UCC the way they buckled down in the last number of minutes and actually dug out the win in the end.
That goal from William Leahy was the only time they led in the game, Imokilly, and it just looked like it was going to break UCC hearts. People have questioned UCC being in this championship. You've mentioned it yourself, but when you see the response that they gave to conceding that goal in stoppage time to go back up and win the game themselves, that shows immense character. And you consider those lads, some of those UCC players wouldn't have been on the starting Fitzgibbon team. As we mentioned, 7 players playing their senior hurling with Cork clubs, unavailable to Tom Kenny and the rest there. But to show the character they did there, it's a massive feather in their cap.
I think it was fantastic, and and the big thing for me is that there's more players from a Cork perspective getting exposure in the Premier Senior Championship this evening. That's the big thing for me. We know about who the Paddy Cadells are and the Paddy O'Loughlin's and stuff like that, but there's a lot of unheard fellas there tonight, particularly in the forward lines, the likes of Owen McCarthy and Brian Kelleher, Enid Desmond and Brian Verling. The 4 of those lads up front contributed to that victory there this evening. And I think in the overall context, Shane Barrett had a huge influence in the game when he came on in the middle of the field. And great to see then, I suppose, your inter-county player and Mark Coleman and stuff like that. But I think it was great for UCC that they have actually got this result this evening, because it has probably thrown the whole championship wide open now. I think every club team will probably say to themselves, like, there's going to be new champions in 2020, and I suppose every club team at the moment will get a huge kick from the result tonight. We don't know what UCC team are going to turn up in the next round of the championship. That's the other side of it. Like, will the Paddy O'Loughlin's be here? Will the Shane Conways be here? We don't know. And like, you're going to have a number of clashes, I would suspect, with clubs and stuff like that. But UCC are very well organised, and you see the situation today with David Lowney's match that was supposed to be on as a direct clash. That game was changed to facilitate him, I would say, and that was a match that was on in West Cork. That you needed St James's as well to play ball to actually to agree to the fixture being moved. So I'd say the next couple of weeks now, UCC will be, I suppose, all fired up now to get to the next round of the championship. I mean, we don't know how the footballers, but they were leading by a point.
Level in injury time we're here.
Well, and I think
that one too.
That game will have to go to extra. Will have to go to extra time, because I think you need a result this evening. So, I mean, tonight, I suppose it's you have to give credit to Imokilly as well, Des, because on a number of occasions they looked like they were gone out of the championship, and with 61 minutes to play, they got the goal that they really, really wanted, and to put them a point ahead. And I think there's great credit down to Imokilly that the game was definitely gone from them. UCC were hurling fierce confidently, but you had Kieran O'Brien and John Cronin, the two of them in particular, turned it into the game. I thought in the last 20 minutes of the game they actually drove Imokilly forward, and then you had a number of substitutions that all made a huge impact. John Looney made a big impact, Josh Buzang made an impact, and young Darragh O'Leary from Watergrass Hill, he also had a big impact in the game. So the fresh legs made a big difference for them, and you'd have to say that Imokilly, I thought the bench, they had a stronger bench that would see them through in the last number of minutes. But the minute that UCC went down, they actually found the gear out of nowhere, and they hurled for the last 2 or 3 minutes with a band. And I mentioned it, that Middleton were in the same position here a number of years ago, well in control of the game, had gone 2 points up, and UCC got 3 points in injury time, and they got a ball from play as well. So it is a trait of this UCC team and UCC teams in general, that they can actually score, that they can actually get those scores to win games.
Yeah, football going to extra time, and I don't want. I'm not in any way looking to dilute any UCC victory here, because they were magnificent on the night to a man. The loss of Seamus Harnedy. Now UCC as well would have been dealing with players who've been off playing club. We mentioned Paddy Cadell, Cillian O'Dwyer unavailable today due to their club commitments in Tipperary. But Harnedy being a real leader of that team, and have been for so long, former UCC hero and favoured and double Fitzgibbon Cup winner there, but to lose him to a hamstring injury in a game played on Friday night, that certainly caused a problem for Imokilly this evening.
He was a huge loss, and not alone is he a fantastic player, but he's a fantastic leader as well. And he is captain of Imokilly for the last 3 counties. And I suppose you go back 4 or 5 years ago, where Imokilly were of no threat to anybody, but Fergal Condon had grabbed that team 4 years ago, and were very unlucky the first year they were up, because they went to the semi-final against Erin's Own, and they were beaten here by an injury time goal. And I'll never forget, I was at the match, and I think every player barring Shea Bone from Erin's Own was inside the square, and the ball bobbled, went in, went out, and ended up inside the net, and it broke Imokilly's hearts that night, but it didn't break their spirit. I think that's great credit then down to Fergal and his management team. I think Jimmy Smithy was involved, Derek Barrett would have been involved, Seamus Hannity's father Sean was involved, and Kieran Cronin, who's the current manager. All those lads were involved, and they actually, I suppose it was the making of the team, Des, that they were actually able to regroup, and they went on and won 3 counties. And they have been fantastic champions, I'd have to say, and they beat Blackrock, they beat Middleton, and they beat the Glen, so they've beaten 3 quality teams as well in the final. So I think from their perspective, they have been fantastic champions in Cork for the last number of years. I suppose the one thing I thought is that like maybe the Colin Barrys or the John Cronins didn't get, or the Kieran O'Briens actually for that matter, didn't get an opportunity with Cork, where I suppose when we were involved with Imokilly, back in, I suppose, 96, 97, 98, we went to 3 county finals, and I've no problem in saying this, I wouldn't have ever played with Cork only for the Imokilly senior hurling team at that time. We were lucky enough to win 2 counties, but we were in the shop window. We went to 7 county semi-finals in a row. We were in the shop window all of the time, and and that's what the point I'm making about Kieran O'Brien, John Cronin and Colin Barry. I think they've been 3 outstanding players for the last 4 years, and never really got a massive opportunity with the Cork senior team.
Okay, I just mentioned talking to Kieran Cronin, he was very generous with his time talking to me this week, and he said, I asked him about, again, the buy-in from the clubs in terms of Imokilly in what has been a very, very strange year, and he said, it's still there. He said these lads want to be around because they know themselves this is cyclical, and this talented group of players might not be around forever, and time will move on and times will change. Now, unfortunately, for their point of view, they've run into a season where it's one shot at it in terms of if you lose a game, you're out, and that's what's befallen them tonight.
Yeah, it is, and like certainly the lack of games on the training side wouldn't have been a help to them, and heretofore they would have been playing in a round robin scenario where they would have got 2 or 3 championship matches just to get the rust out of the system. And you could see as the game was going on this evening, like they were anonymous in the first half of the game, but as the game wore on, they were actually starting to get better and better and better. So that certainly had a huge factor in it. And so you have to throw in the situation in with the Father O'Neill's players and the Klein players were not available as well, and Declan Dalton was a huge player for Imokilly last year. And last number of years, Paddy's always been knocking around and getting goals, and like that threat wasn't as particular tonight. And then when you take your 3 top players out of that forward line, and when you add Seamus Hannity into it, they were a significant loss to that Imokilly team. And like the other side of this is that Castlelyons, I suppose, are one of the favourites for the Premier Intermediate Championship. There's a good possibility that if they win this championship this year, they won't be available to Imokilly next year as well. So there's a lot of things changing, but they've got their 3 county championships, and they've been magnificent champions days. And I would take my hat off to Fergal Condon, particularly the work that he has done, and the likes of Jimmy and Derek Barrett, and I suppose Kieran Cronin as well this evening, and Sean Hannity. Yeah,
absolutely. Our coverage brought to you by Co-op Superstores. What a game we've had this evening, and what a result for UCC, knocking out the 4 in a row chasing Imokilly. Let's quickly look ahead to next week, because we'll see Sarsfield's, Blackrock and the Glen all seeking to end their groups a perfect 3 out of 3, and the best record across the groups, of course, goes straight into the semi-finals. We've got some winner-take-all games: Erin's Own against Newtown Chandram, Middleton against Douglas, and a big one as well for the Bars, because they've lost both games. They need to beat Carricktool to avoid a relegation playoff, and a change of management midstream. It all seems to be happening there.
It has been a remarkable championship so far, to be honest with it, and that's the thing about, that's the beauty of the league format, and I suppose we call it the Champions League style scenario. So like at the top, the middle and the bottom, everything's at stake. And I can, the last 20 years I've been banging on about, having this type of a championship, and all you could keep getting back, there'll be dead rubbers, there is no dead rubber in any of the 5 divisions that we have here now at the moment. And that's the message that needs to go out to the people that were in charge over the last 20 years, because there has been a blood being breathed into the championship in Cork this year. And imagine if we could get this for the next 10 years, the quality of our players is going to continue to rise, because there is no dead rubber game. So just to go through it, at the top you have the Glen, and you have Blackrock, and you have SARS, and all of them now are fighting out for the top position. So whoever comes out with the best ranked team at the end of that, and the first thing is points, points that you've earned from your matches. So they all have 4 points, and I suppose you would expect that SARS would probably win their game against Ballyhay, but Ballyhay are also fighting on the relegation side, that if they got a point out of the game, if they got a draw, they may avoid being in the relegation final. So I think Blackrock and the Glen are on even points, and they have an 11-point start on SARS at this moment in time. So they'll be keeping an eye on that. And the other beauty of this is that all the matches are on at exactly the same time, so there's no team has an advantage over anybody. So there's going to be 6 matches played in this championship next Saturday night at 7:30, and everybody's going to be watching the scores from all over. So you could be in the championship days at half time, you could be out of the championship at the end of the game. But the big thing is, there's a number of games. You have Middleton and Douglas, okay, and you have Erin's Own, and you have Newtown Chandram. Both of them are on 2 points each. So whoever wins that game are going forward. They'll be still in the championship. Whoever loses is going out. And the big thing that the county board, and whether we've accidentally bumped onto this now or not, right, is that there were 3 teams were supposed to qualify into the latter. It's only 2 now because of the pandemic, and I would be hoping that into the future that it'll still only be 2 teams to qualify, because it means that the Middleton and Douglas game and the Erin's Own game against Newtown Chandram, that those two, whoever wins, like if it was the old format or the format that was originally supposed to be there, the two teams would go forward and it wouldn't have the bite that you'd be. Now both teams have to win that game. And then you look at the third group, you have the Glen and you have the Piershick. So it's a North-South derby, but the Piershick have 3 points. If the Piershick win the game, they top the group.
Yeah.
Whereas the Glen would expect that they were going to be going through or potentially being. So now all of a sudden that game takes on a different flavour as well. So it's massive. You mentioned there about the bar situation, the change of management. Well, look, it's a serious situation when you change your management. And I think we covered a game at the start of the year before the Glen. You asked me how things would go. And I felt that the change of management may have a bearing on the championship result that night. And what has ever happened there, it's I think it's very disappointing on a number of sides. But for any management to step down mid-season, it's serious. But at this moment in time, barring they get a result, I think against Carrigtwohill, they have to win it because a draw won't do them. They'll have to win that game. They'll end up in the relegation final. But the Bears were in the county semi-final last year. The question is, why is Ronan Curran down in Kanturk having done a fantastic job with the Bears for the last 2 years? I don't know the answer to that, but the club obviously knows it, and the people involved know what has gone on there. But I suppose it's a serious game. That game, carries a lot of responsibility on the new management in the Bears for next weekend. But the big overall riding factor with this championship nowadays is that there's no dead rubber games, and there's excitement has been breathed back into it, and we're actually talking about the championship, which is the most important thing as well. There's actually a buzz around the championship, and now we're here tonight to discover that the 3-time county champions have knocked out of the championship. So it's anybody's county now at this moment in time.
Yeah, the cat truly set amongst the pigeons here at Parky Rin tonight with UCC knocking out Imokilly. And before we leave, the final word has to go to UCC and what they produced here this evening, from the first whistle to the last.
Yeah, and I mean,
particularly how they started the game and how they finished it.
Yeah, and I suppose in particular it looked like Shane Conway was going to steal the show at the start of the game because he was excellent, and Niall Montgomery as well was excellent. The two of them were brilliant, but they definitely tired over the course of the game. Now they're young lads as well, so when you're crashing into older players and stuff like that, physically you're going to get worn down and stuff like that. Great determination and heart by Imokilly to turn her back into the game. But then for UCC to get the last 4 points in the bounce was incredible. And you'd have to say, I think in the overall context of things, they'd have been a bit unlucky if they didn't get a result out of the game this evening, Des. So I think great credit, I see that, John Granger has been involved for a long time. Dr. Paddy Crowley is synonymous with UCC, and Tom Kenny then, the former Cork player and UCC player, involved in the sideline there. If they got Paddy Cadell back now, and if the fixtures fall right for them, you just don't know what's going to happen to them. But look, the big thing is, we're going to have a new county champion in 2020 days, and who knows, maybe it could be UCC. But I think all the teams that are left in the championship this week is going to be a great week for a lot of clubs around the county, because they're all saying to themselves, the favourites are gone, the 3-time champions are gone, maybe it's our turn at the top table 2020. Yeah, it's been a remarkable night. Mark, thanks as always, really enjoyed it. So at UCC, 2 wins in a week, the divisional champions, that earns them a place in the quarterfinals of the Cork Senior Hurling Championship, and they have done it in style. They've dethroned the 3-in-a-row champions, Imokilly. From Mark Landers, myself, Des Curran, and all on the team here at Parky Rin, hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you again next week.